performance, which must include either a percentage of students that satisfy the TSI, college readiness benchmarks, in reading, writing, or math, or a number of students that earn at least 12 plus or 30 plus hours of post-secondary credit, an associate's degree, or an industry certification. So the bill passed with a vote of 145 to 2 after 9 hours of debate. So I would have loved to have been a fly on that wall. But nonetheless, 8th grade students and their parents are now becoming familiarized with the piece of legislation, and that it actually takes effect with the incoming 9th grade class with the 2014-2015 school year. So just to kind of give a brief overview of what the foundation program is, which is a new graduation plan for the state of Texas. It still encompasses the 22 credits, 4 credits of English language arts, mathematics, science, social studies, 2 credits of languages other than English, which we'll kind of expound on a little bit, 1 credit of fine arts, 1 credit of physical education, and then the 5 elective credits, which may include advanced career technical classes or certification courses. And so typically if a student follows this, they are eligible for general admission to a Texas public 4-year institution of higher education, along with them meeting still the standards of UAP, the Uniform Admission Policy, which is still kind of being hashed out because the first graduating class would not fall under this term. So still your rising seniors, rising juniors would still have to fall under the UAP standards and the benchmark scores, but by the time the 9th grade class graduates, we would have a better understanding of where the piece of legislation is going in regards to the credits. Okay, I've been informed that you all cannot see my slide. Okay. All right, let me see. All right, I'm sorry about that. My slides were frozen, being that this is my first webinar. I do apologize for that, but nonetheless, let me go back for a minute. Okay, so you all heard the information in regards to the expanding curriculum options, the reducing standardized testing, and enhancing school accountability. And then we were looking at the foundation program with the 22 credits in the sense of what is required under the foundation program. So this replaces the minimum, the recommended, and the distinguished high school graduation plan right now. And then essentially what it does is that it's broken down into the credits again. This kind of giving you more of a picture in regards to the 5 endorsements that students can participate in, which I'll be expanding upon in the coming slides. So again, looking at the 4 credits, and that also will have some information on the advanced English courses, also what constitutes an advanced mathematics course, and what constitutes as an advanced science course, which was just released in March, and they're still finalizing, fine-tuning everything in regards to what will actually constitute within the endorsement. So a lot of questions, a lot of uncertainty still out there, but students will still have to have 26 credits to earn their diploma, but some districts are requiring or defaulting towards the distinguished level of achievement plan, which I'll explain in the next few slides, with an endorsement as their default plan for every student, unless they plan to opt out at the end of their sophomore year. So students will have that option to opt out of a certain endorsement and just meet the foundational plan, which is essentially equivalent to the minimum plan now, but only after the parent, student, and counselor meet at the student school to discuss the choice. And so, again, physical education will be required, but there are exemptions to that. So I would definitely, with all the information that's given, to definitely go back to your local districts in regards to your departments of college readiness, career readiness, and then curriculum to see if there's any district default plans that they're going to be opting the students to do overall. But for the state overall, all incoming freshmen are going to be opted towards the foundation plan with an endorsement. Now, as to which endorsement, that's up to the district to decide. Okay, so looking at the advanced courses, in the sense of that the student after the second year of math will have to take an advanced course in mathematics. A course on this list may be taken either before or after one of the following courses: mathematical modules with applications, mathematical applications in agriculture, food, and natural resources, digital electronics, robotics, programming, and design to be considered an endorsement advanced course, fulfilling the fourth mathematics or the third mathematics course to earn an endorsement. So definitely, as you're counseling students, you just want to be aware of which endorsements they're following, and if they are going to be earning an endorsement, which all students should be, that the State Board of Education has designated some courses as prerequisites either before moving into to earn the endorsement. They must take it before or after one of the following courses in the mathematical models with applications, mathematical applications in agriculture, food, and natural resources, digital electronics, robotics, programming, and design to be considered an endorsement advanced course. And so, again, giving you the list of advanced courses that will be eligible in the English language arts. And so as you look at these lists, also take note that the bill did give leeway for courses to be locally developed. So at the local level within the districts, school districts will have the opportunity to partner with institutions of higher education to create courses, or they can partner with local corporations and companies within the area to create advanced courses that would suffice for those subject matters. Initially when the bill came out, there was a list of 25 corporations that had signed on to basically help in this process. Those corporations haven't since basically given the public any more information in regards to their participation in the process, but I do know that there are conversations going on between corporations and school districts on creating locally developed courses in the English language arts, the maths and sciences that students will be able to take that could lead towards the endorsement, also maybe towards some workforce certification as well. So definitely you want to, again, check with your school district liaisons in regards to what direction your district may or may not be taking in regards to students with the advanced courses that they will be offering. This is a list of the advanced courses with second science credit. Typically, as you look at the list, of course, traditionally, as school counselors, from the school counselor perspective, there were typical courses that you wanted to make sure the students would take that would deem them college ready. And so, of course, with the sciences, any lab-focused science would make the student college ready in the sense of them taking, biology, chemistry, physics, A&P. Now, there are opportunities for students to take more applied sciences based on the STEM endorsements in which field that they're looking at. But you'll also note when we get to the endorsements, there are required courses if the student is looking at STEM that they will need to take in order to receive the STEM endorsement. But if a student is not STEM endorsed, then they have the options of these other courses as well to take, which may not necessarily be necessarily for students that will be majoring in science courses once they matriculate to a post-secondary institution. And so again, this was just released in March by the State Board of Education in regards to advanced courses with the third science credit. And please note that the presentation will be available in PDF version to be sent out to those that would like to have a copy of this information as well. Now, looking at languages other than English and the speech requirement, basically it's looking at the fact that students now have the opportunity to basically look at any two levels in the same language, But if the counselor deems that the student would not successfully complete a language other than English, then the counselor has discretion along with the student to substitute another appropriate course, and they have the option of like courses like special topics in language and culture, world history studies, or world geography studies for a student who's not required to complete both by the local district, computer programming languages, or a different language course in which the student could opt out of a foreign language and take a selected course from Computer Science 1, 2, and 3. So you want to make note of that the requirement for an actual foreign language has been removed from the curriculum, essentially for students that may struggle with a language. But of course, most institutions from the admission perspective would require a student to have at least 2 years of a foreign language to meet their requirements for admissions as well. And then looking at the speech requirement, although that may be by institution to institution, some institutions, especially out-of-state institutions, if your students will be applying to those, you may want to check with the institution overall to see if speech is a requirement, because now it's not a requirement under the foundation plan, and they have other ways to get that requirement sufficed. So now on to the fun stuff in regards to the endorsements. And so essentially, a student may earn an endorsement by successfully completing curriculum requirements for the endorsement, 4 credits in mathematics. So again, looking at the list of the advanced courses, and then also noting those 5 courses that were mentioned in order to receive the endorsement, and then also the 4 credits in science and 2 additional elective courses. So when you think of endorsements as choosing a college major. It's an area of study that your student has an interest in and an aptitude for. Being able to focus in these areas with personalized learning, tell your students' story more effectively on their transcripts, and give them direction for higher education, workforce training, and potentially a profession. While many high schools will offer all 5 areas, not all will, and so we recognize that. So you should definitely check with your district's endorsement sections on their websites for a school-by-school listing. Each school district must make available to high school students courses that allow a student to complete the curriculum requirements for at least 1 endorsement. And so the default endorsement, of course, would be the multidisciplinary studies. So all districts must at least offer the multidisciplinary studies endorsements, but most of the major school districts will typically offer all 5. They may not be all at every campus. So again, meeting with the parents and the students, letting them know if they are looking for a specific endorsement, they may need to look at a school outside of their neighborhood, or the one that they're zoned to, for that student to fulfill that endorsement. But typically, in some of your major metropolitan areas, majority of the schools will at least have anywhere from 2 to 3 to all 5 endorsements available at the high schools. Also to note, a school district defines advanced courses and determines a coherent sequence of courses for an endorsement area, provided that prerequisites are followed. A course completed as part of the set of 4 courses needs to satisfy an endorsement requirement, may also satisfy a requirement under the foundation high school program, including an elective requirement. So looking at the STEM endorsement, a student may earn a STEM endorsement by completing foundation and general endorsement requirements, including Algebra 2, chemistry, and physics. And then they have the option of going to option A, a coherent sequence of courses for 4 or more credits in the CTA that consist of at least 2 courses in the same career cluster, including at least 1 advanced CTE course, which includes any course that is the 3rd or higher course in the sequence. This course may be selected from courses in all CTE career clusters or CTE innovative courses approved by the Commissioner of Education. The final course in the sequence must be selected from the STEM career cluster. Or option B, again noting that a coherent sequence of 4 credits in computer science selected from the following courses. A student may earn a STEM endorsement by completing foundation and general endorsement requirements, including again the Algebra 2, chemistry, and physics, but then there's also an option C, in which a total of 5 credits in mathematics by successfully completing Algebra 1, geometry, Algebra 2, and 2 additional mathematics courses for which Algebra 2 is a prerequisite. And so typically, most students and parents may think that the STEM endorsement is the only endorsement that will make the student college ready, considering that most universities and colleges are still going to be considering a math, the fourth-year math to be a math that has a prerequisite of Algebra 2. But the student can still choose a different endorsement outside of STEM and still be able to take Algebra 2 and an advanced math that has a prerequisite of Algebra 2 outside of the STEM endorsement. So basically I'm saying that to not necessarily counsel our students to automatically go towards STEM if they're not necessarily wanting to major in STEM once they matriculate onto a post-secondary institution, but that if they are looking to attend a post-secondary institution, it would behoove them to go ahead and take Algebra 2 and a math with a prerequisite, a fourth-year math with a prerequisite of Algebra 2. Also, there's an option D within the STEM endorsement, a total in which a student who successfully completes 5 credits in science. So along with the student being able to get the endorsements by taking the 5 courses within the mathematics, a student can also get the STEM endorsement by completing 5 courses within the sciences by completing biology, chemistry, physics, and 2 additional science courses. And so again, looking back again at the list of the advanced science courses deemed by the State Board of Education, if they take the 2 additional science courses, they will receive the STEM endorsement. And then there's a fifth option, and I know it's definitely a lot of information, but nonetheless, in addition to the Algebra 2, chemistry, and physics, a coherent sequence of 3 additional credits from no more than 2 of the areas listed in A, B, and then looking at the 5 mathematics courses or the 5 science courses, they can also receive the STEM endorsement. So they can do a combination of the mathematics and the sciences along with the prerequisites in the options A and B as well to get the STEM endorsements. And I'm going to check our TAC Act hashtag real quick and see if there are any questions thus far that I can address. Okay, and thank you so much, Mickey, for following up with some of the questions on TAC Act currently. I appreciate that a lot.
During the break, Ken, I just want to let you know that the slides have not been advancing.
They haven't? Okay, because what I'm doing, I'm pressing from current slide, and so it's changing on my monitor, but y'all are not seeing the changing of the slides at all?
Yeah, we just saw one change.
That's the only one that you've all seen?
Right now we're on business and industry.
Yeah, that's the one that's on mine. So, but
okay.
You didn't see the STEM endorsement screen either?
You were talking about math, I think.
So the STEM endorsement screen didn't show up on you all's screen?
Maybe it was just a lag. You're fine now. Maybe it was just a lag.
Okay. Okay. Well, please let me know. Please step in if you're not seeing it, because it's showing on my monitor. So I'm assuming that it's showing on you all. So please let me know. But going back into the presentation, looking at the business and industry endorsement, a student may earn a business and industry endorsement by completing foundation plan and general endorsement requirements which are listed. Again, just kind of giving the students the opportunity to look at a multitude of business and industry fields and classes to get the exposure. And one of the things, just to kind of add a little tidbit to it, is that this is where the corporation engagement piece is, I believe, quite essential to establish within the districts because it would definitely give the students the opportunity to be able to take courses that could lead towards a workforce certification, or if a student has the exposure to a class that was created, let's say, by Marriott for the hospitality and tourism, just as an example, then that student would have an inside information as to what Marriott is looking for in their entry-level positions for students coming out of high school, and then also what opportunities does a post-secondary education, whether it be at the 2-year or 4-year, depending on the position that the student may be looking at, would afford them. And so this is where I would encourage you all that are at the district level on the call to definitely start those conversations with your district leaders, and also try to engage some of the local corporations and businesses to see if they would like to be engaged in the process of creating those locally developed courses that would count for the endorsement as well. And so the business and industry is kind of self-explanatory in a sense. The option B, though, does give them the opportunity, if the district doesn't offer those classes, that they can still receive the business and industry endorsement by taking 4 English elective credits and by selecting 3 levels in one of the following areas that are listed as well. So those are your students that were in school districts where you may not have the opportunity to have the options, the courses listed in option A. The students, if they take 4 of the English elective courses, which out of the 5 elective courses that they need, they can still get the business and industry endorsement. Okay. And so again, there's multiple options within for a student to receive the endorsement. So again, in the business and industry, there's an option C for students that want to look at the technology application side, and then also in option D, where they can do a combination of the A, B, and C option classes that are listed. In the public service endorsement, this is kind of gearing students towards those that may want to go into education and training, government, public administration, the health sciences, human services, and so forth, along with students that are in your junior ROTC programs. And so essentially, if a student does take 4 courses in JROTC, they would suffice the public service endorsement. Also, what you would want to advise your students is to still check with the military branch that they plan to enlist in upon graduating from high school to see if they would request any additional courses, because this is not the end all yet. It's not completely finalized yet. So definitely, if you have a student that is military focused, that they would go ahead and contact the branch that they are planning to enlist in to see if they would require any additional courses outside of the ones that are available on their campus. The 4th endorsement is the arts and humanities. This consists of a total of 5 social study credits, essentially preparing the students for, of course, anything in the humanities. Definitely would deem them college ready as far as the English requirements are concerned. If they want to look in creative writing, research and technical writing, advanced placement English literature and composition. If they also select the IB language studies, A1 higher level, or communication applications. And so again, it's a lot of flexibility within the endorsements for a student to take classes to receive the endorsement. So it's no cookie cutter way of saying this course definitely is the only course that you need to take, or the only course you should take if you're in the arts and humanities. It kind of gives liberty to the students to be able to receive the endorsements various ways. So like even looking at the arts and humanities, a student can receive this endorsement by getting 4 levels of American Sign Language, or a combination of the options in A, B, and C. So if they want to pursue a language, if they want to go on and get the Spanish 3, the AP Spanish, they can definitely go ahead and get the arts and humanities endorsements. And then lastly, the multidisciplinary endorsement, multidisciplinary studies endorsement. This basically allows a student that may be at a school that they are not able to afford the students enough courses to suffice the other endorsements, or if a student is kind of uncertain of what, not necessarily narrowing down their options to any particular endorsement, this gives them the freedom to kind of explore. And so a student can earn this endorsement by taking either 4 advanced courses that prepare a student to enter the workforce successfully, or post-secondary education without remediation from within one endorsement area or among endorsement areas that are not in coherent sequence, as well as 4 credits. They also have the option of taking 4 credits in each of the 4 foundational subject areas to include English 4 and chemistry and or physics. And then thirdly, 4 credits in advanced placement, international, the IB program or dual credit, selected from English, mathematics, science, social studies, economics, language, other than English or fine arts. Now, students also will have the opportunity to get special recognition on their transcripts, and one of the special recognitions is the Distinguished Level of Achievement, which essentially kind of, in my mind, replaced the recommended plan because it does require basically similar to the 4x4 plan previously out of that program. And so the students may earn a distinguished level of achievement by successfully completing a total of 4 credits in mathematics, which must include Algebra 2, a total of 4 credits in science, and the remaining curriculum requirements, the curriculum requirements for at least 1 endorsement. This also will allow a student to then be eligible for top 10% automatic admission, which of course is a big question in regards to if a student doesn't fulfill this distinguished level of achievement, would they still be admissible under the top 10% rule? And from conversations that I've had with leaders of admissions of our Texas public institutions, overall they're going to definitely be admissible. Now, as far as them being admissible into certain programs or the college, their first choice majors, then that would be a case-by-case basis. And once institutions make their final decisions in regards to what will be deemed acceptable for a student that may have not taken an advanced science course that the institution deemed as college ready for their particular program. So, of course, again, restating that there's still a lot of uncertainty, a lot of questions that still need to be addressed and answered. But overall, if you're working with students that are in the top 10%, that will be in the top 10% of their graduating class. So, talking about incoming freshmen for this year, it would be best to go ahead and to counsel them to look at the distinguished level of achievement and try to fulfill that plan. And if there are any complications along the way, to definitely seek more counseling and ways of talking to the institutions that they may be looking at and seeing if the classes that they would take that may not suffice the distinguished level of achievement would at least suffice them being admissible to the programs that they're looking at, and also because they would be admissible under the top 10%, but you just want to kind of still stay in contact with institutions to see if those classes that they may take outside of the distinguished level of achievement will make them admissible to the college of their first choice major. And then another one that a student can, another way students can have extra tidbits on their transcripts and be recognized at graduation as well is that they can have performance acknowledgments, and students basically can get these. It's almost like it's a way of supersizing a diploma in a sense. They will be noted on the transcript and diploma and are earned for outstanding performance in either a student performing well in a dual credit course, in bilingualism, in biliteracy, also achieving a certain score on the AP test or IB exam. And there's a list, they have a list of criterion based on the AP test and the IB exam that will make the student eligible for the performance acknowledgement. I would encourage you all to go to the State Board of Education website, if you haven't already done so, to see the list of the scores that will make the student eligible for these acknowledgments, as well as on the PSAT, the ACT plan, the SAT, or the ACT. And then lastly, for earning a nationally or internationally recognized business or industry certificate or license. So again, encouraging you all to reach out to the local businesses and corporations to see if any courses can be developed in which a student could graduate with an industry certificate or licensure, and then the student is eligible to receive this supersizing of a diploma. Lastly but not least, students basically that are not TSI ready, they will now have the opportunity to take a college prep course in which each school district, in partnership with at least one institution of higher education, will be required to develop and provide college prep courses in mathematics and English language arts. And so essentially what it's doing is that juniors who have been identified as needing a boost towards college readiness when evaluating their STAR, end of course, and or PSAT exams are being offered a chance to sign up for college preparatory courses in mathematics and English arts in their senior year. The courses will be developed through a partnership between districts and at least one institution of higher education as part of House Bill 5 and the Texas Success Initiative. Students who pass final exams in these courses will be considered college ready and will be able to move directly into college work in math and English language arts and not have to take developmental classes. So basically what the bill did essentially and what it's striving towards is removing the responsibility of the developmental courses of college preparatory courses from the TEA and higher education commissioners and assigning the responsibility of college preparatory courses back to the districts that must partner with at least one institution of higher education. I have been made aware of conversations going on between the Texas Association for Community Colleges. There's a task force meeting going on right now in which they're looking to see if they can streamline the curriculum and the requirements for this course so that essentially the way the language is set up in the bill currently, students that would take the college prep course from their local community college, and if they pass the course based on what that two-year college deems as college ready, and they did not matriculate to that specific two-year institution, and they decided to go to another two-year institution outside of their district, that institution could have the right to not accept that college prep or that student's college readiness based on this course, or if they've taken any TSI exam at that institution that they took. So essentially what the task force is doing with the community colleges is they're trying to see if they can get everyone on board to streamline what would be deemed as admissible to any two-year institution if the student takes this course or takes the exam and meets a certain benchmark score to then remove them from remedial courses, remove them from having to take remedial courses as another institution. So this piece of the legislation is still being worked out on, but that's what the language is stating as of right now. So just to kind of put that on the forefront of your minds and to also continue those conversations with your local community colleges to see has there been any progress in that conversation. And so lastly, in regards to things to be considering with the bill overall is that you really as counselors and those that are in the admission and counseling profession, what the bill will really will force us to consider is the eligibility for admission versus admission requirements versus college readiness. And so again, restating that there is no cookie cutter way to handle this bill. It almost forces us as counselors and admission counselors to actually counsel the students individually and really take their assessments that they have been doing throughout their high school process more seriously, and to let them know that even though they may select one endorsement now, they're not necessarily they're not necessarily declaring that this is the end all. They have the option to change their mind. Students will have the opportunity to change their endorsement or graduation plan towards the end of their sophomore year, up till the end of their sophomore year. And so students, even though they may select one endorsement coming in as freshmen, they will have the opportunity to change their minds. As we recognize that coming in as 15 and 16-year-olds in high school, that you will change your mind at some point. You're not necessarily guaranteed that that's what you're going to do when you come into high school. So, and then also just recognizing that depending on the institutions that they may be looking at, that they may want to go ahead and just pick the right classes based on the institution, and if anything, just default to the multidisciplinary studies, the foundation with the multidisciplinary studies endorsement, which would then give them the freedom and the flexibility to kind of take courses if they're not necessarily geared toward any of the other 4 endorsements overall. So it will definitely require more transparency, not only from the district level, but also from the from TEA and the State Board of Education and the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, to really make sure the information is coming out very fluid and quick, because overall with this process, I believe this bill had great intentions, and I believe those intentions will be fulfilled once we get a clear understanding of, what makes a student admissible, not only to just in-state institutions, but even out-of-state institutions, because talking to institutions that make up the American Association of American Universities and Schools, which are typically your Tier 1 college research institutions across the country, their biggest concern when the bill was being written and discussed was them taking away the Algebra 2 requirement, and seeing that the only endorsement that actually requires the Algebra 2 is the STEM, but recognizing that students can still take the Algebra 2 outside of the STEM endorsement. So please not take this information as to where you need to now push all students towards STEM, because we recognize that all students are not STEM minded. So we do need people in the public service professions, the business and industry professions, as well as the humanities professions. It's really just I believe the true purpose of the bill was to get the conversations about what you would want to do and what you want to be started much earlier than the junior and senior year of high school. And as we recognize, year after year, that waiting to the junior and senior year to kind of make those kind of decisions is kind of late in the process. So we can get the students to at least start talking about those things and introducing them to classes and concepts and theories early on. Then by the time they matriculate onto either a 2-year institution or a 4-year institution, they will be able to make better informed decisions and to know which positions that they may be looking towards require either the 2-year or the 4-year, or if they just require the 2-year initially and then returning back to school at some point to finish the 4-year program, that they can do so, and they have a clear understanding of what that process looks like throughout the entire educational career. So again, previous graduation plans and House Bill 5 graduation plans, understanding the rubric system for admission. So be on the lookout for more discussion. Please get on the discussion board on the TACAC website if you haven't already done so, presenting some questions, presenting some good practices that you may be becoming aware of in the field within your local districts, sharing that information with others, and so that way we can all kind of benefit from it and make it better for the students overall. And basically we would have to consider that this puts us in a position that we have to annually articulate the advantages of earning endorsements, performance acknowledgments, distinguished levels of achievement, and post-secondary education to both students and parents. So kind of, that level of transparency across all levels of stakeholders involved in this process with the student and the parent. So with that being said, we are good on time, and I'm going to now go to the social media sites and the discussion board if there are any questions. Also, we do have this chat option on the webinar that you all can utilize as well, that I will be looking at as well. So if there are any questions at this time, please feel free to post those, and I will address them as they come in. Any additional information, Raymond, that you want to present, or Mickey?
Yes, I just want to make note of a couple questions for you that we have posted on the question board. The first is, where can we locate the performance acknowledgments? And those, you indicated that there were some performance acknowledgments. Another question is, what happens to students who transfer into a Texas public high school their junior year from out of state? So I'll let you answer those?
So the first question I'll address is the out-of-state students that will transfer in. This doesn't affect students that are above the 9th grade, from what I understand as of right now, because they would have been grandfathered into any graduation plan that they were in, and then once they come to Texas, then they would just have to meet the graduation plan of their graduation class. So let's say, you use the example of the junior students in Texas are still grandfathered in. Now they do have the option to opt into the foundation plan if their schedule will allow them to take the classes in order to receive an endorsement as well. But a student that comes in from out of state could potentially come in and still follow either the recommended or the distinguished or the minimum graduation plan coming in from out of state. And then also addressing the performance acknowledgments. That information is on the State Board of Education, on the TEA website, under the section regarding more information on House Bill 5. So if you were to go to www.tea.state.texas.us, they have information. If you go in the search box and put in House Bill 5, it will come up with a whole entire website of resources and information in regards to the Foundation High School program, and also the endorsement frequently asked questions as well. And so one question on Twitter from Jeffrey Miller at Jeffrey Educator, it says, he made a comment of, with so much flexibility, it seems like post-secondary advisement is essential for successfully meeting the intentions of House Bill 5. And so that's a great comment. And to kind of add on to that comment, I will put a plug in for TACAC Government Relations, in the sense of that we are looking to host our first town hall meeting this fall. We have selected a date in regards to September 3rd and 4th, where we will be on the south steps of the Capitol in Austin, not necessarily just addressing House Bill 5, but just addressing issues and concerns around college admission counseling. And in regards to House Bill 5, you can definitely see the need for accessibility to the secondary counselors, as well as middle school counselors, who will be informing 8th graders, which will be brand new for them in the sense of the whole college admission process. So we're we're basically advocating for more funding, for more professional development opportunities for counselors in the state of Texas in regards to college and admission counseling specifically, and then also asking for more counselors overall, because as some of you may note within your districts, the student-to-counselor ratios, even though we're not the highest amongst most states, most large states in particular too, but we are well above the recommended ratio suggested by the National Association for College Admission Counseling and the American Association for School Counselors, which is 1 to 250 students. Currently, we're right at about 1 to 440 students in most districts, and in some rural and remote districts, some of your smaller districts, there's typically only one counselor for the entire school district. So that's elementary, middle, high school, all encompassing one individual to cover all things. And then in some districts, some have moved to the assistant principal model, where there's not even a licensed counselor or someone that is certified and knowledgeable in college admission counseling giving out college admission information. So definitely I see House Bill 5 being a hot topic in the 84th Texas legislature come January 2015. So definitely I employ each and every one of you that's on here that is a member of TACAC, or if you are living in the state of Texas and you deal with college admission counseling, to please become a member of TACAC first, and then also get involved in the advocacy piece surrounding college and admission counseling, because definitely there's a lot of work to do, and our voice needs to be heard, because if we don't talk someone else will talk for us.
Okay, Kenneth, there's a couple other questions a little bit earlier on Twitter. There's one from CHS counselors, and the question is, in a STEM endorsement, can the technology courses be a combination of tech apps and CTE, or must they all be within the same? And I'll let you answer that.
I see Raymond, I'm seeing the CHS counselors will American Sign Language count as a foreign language for college admission? That's the only question I'm seeing from CHS, unless I'm not seeing it. Okay. Okay, I see it now. So in the STEM, the question again is, in a STEM endorsement, can the technology courses be a combination of tech apps and CTE, or must they all be within the same? Based on the legislation, it appears to be that the students can choose several different options within the endorsements to suffice. So looking back at the STEM endorsement, a student can do a combination. A student can do a combination of the options in option A, B, C, or D, which option C and D was revolving around either the 5 math courses or the 5 science courses. So in regards to the question, can the technology courses be a combination of tech, apps, and CTE, or must they all be within the same? Now, if they're going to go by way of option A, that it does say that a coherent sequence of courses for 4 more credits in CTE that consist of at least 2 courses in the same career cluster. So depending on which career cluster your high school or your school district is able to offer, they would need to be in the same 2 to fulfill the option A requirement. So it would need to be in the same career cluster, and then including at least 1 advanced CTE course, which includes any course that is in the 3rd or higher course in the sequence. So definitely looking at the various clusters that they have within the STEM field that your high schools may offer. If a student is taking the first class, then they would need to go ahead and take the second class to fulfill that endorsement.
We got another question. It was basically asking, how does the bill affect private high schools?
Currently, right now, the bill doesn't affect private high schools because of the way private schools have that flexibility in creating their, designing their own curriculum. But in the sense of looking at public institutions overall, it really doesn't affect them as of what I'm aware of right now. And so essentially, as long as the student meets the uniform admission policy that's in place right now with the benchmark scores or the class rank assignments and such, then they will still be admissible to any public institution in the state of Texas. Now, and then again, of course, most private high schools, they typically are taking courses that would deem the student college ready by most out-of-state institutions as well. So as of right now, there isn't anything in the legislation that affects private secondary institutions right now.
Okay, if you want to take a couple questions, we got Twitter we got so many questions, we're probably backed up. Just want to ask another question. I guess this one comes to us from GPI SD College Ready. Besides flexibility in courses necessary for graduation, how does HB5 benefit students? I guess that's up for interpretation, but we'll let you answer it.
Again, I mean, kind of going back to what you said, Raymond, it is up to interpretation, but essentially, the biggest fear when the bill came out was that we're making eighth graders and ninth graders decide on what they want to do with the rest of their life in high school, and most of us know that we didn't really decide on what we wanted to do for the most part until we were almost out of college and had some sense of what career path would be the best for us based on internship opportunities or work experience that we had throughout the college process, or just being referred by someone who saw something in us that deemed would be a good fit career-wise for us. So essentially, to take the fear out of it is that essentially what was said at the TechEd conference by another counselor, which made a whole lot of sense to me, was that you have the students take, you have them select an endorsement based on their assessments. So if your district offers assessments through programs like Naviance or other career assessment programs that are available out there, then actually utilizing those assessments and not just making it a checklist on a student's file, but actually going back to those assessments, looking at the areas of interest that the student has identified with, and then making an informed decision with the student and the parent, and basically saying this would probably be the best fit for them, but that it's not pigeonholing them into this forever. They have the opportunity and the option to change their mind throughout this process, and or if you see if a student would benefit from completing multiple endorsements, students have that opportunity as well. It just kind of puts it kind of starts the conversation in regards to what kind of careers are available to me upon getting a high school education, because there's also workforce certificate and licensure options in this bill, as well as which positions after I graduate from high school require either only a two-year degree, or those that require me completing the four-year degree, or those that may only require a two-year initially, but if I want to move up in advancement into management positions and leadership, that I would have to go back to school at some point, and kind of having those conversations early on that a lot of corporations will send you back to school. So it kind of looks at the full circle, as opposed to when I was coming through high school, it was like, you just graduate, but you have no end in mind. So it's just even to say, well, I want to major in psychology. So what are you going to do with psychology? Do you know how many years it takes to become an actual licensed psychologist? What are some of the opportunities? How many clinical hours you may need to do? Is clinical hours even a part of the process? So it kind of gets the students to start thinking and talking about those things much earlier in the process, as opposed to waiting after they get to their junior, senior year of college, and then have to now find a job because they have to repay loans within 6 months because the Sallie Mae knocking on their doors. Looking at the question from Tammy Gernander, it says, it appears that most college requires a speech credit. If House Bill 5 does not require that credit, will colleges drop that credit? I'm uncertain as of right now. I know no institution has changed anything as far as requirements are concerned, given the fact that still the rising juniors, rising sophomores, rising seniors, rising juniors, and rising sophomores as of now they still have the option to complete the recommended or the distinguished graduation plans that were already in place before the foundation plan. And then from Travis R., the question is, there seems to be some overlap in courses needed for endorsements. Is it possible to have more than one endorsement? Yes. And again, you may have some students that have taken a lot of dual credit classes that meet the requirements for several endorsements, and they have the opportunity to then select two endorsements, or maybe even three potentially, to have placed on their transcripts. But the thing is that we have to keep in mind as we look at the endorsement. The endorsements only mean something at the high school level in regards to what's on that student's file. The student would still need to perform in the class, also take the most rigorous academic curriculum available to them to then set themselves apart in the admission process overall. So that's also one of the other fears of this bill, was that students, of course, would take the route with the least amount of resistance. But as school counselors and those in the admission counseling realm, we need to be encouraging students to still take the most academically rigorous curriculum available to them at their school districts. Now, of course, we recognize, again, that that may vary by district, by city, by county, by area of Texas that you live in, that the student lives in. So, but being an admission counselor, recognizing that we do take into account, all external factors, given to the student in regards to the high school, as far as curriculum is concerned, that we still want to recognize that if a student does set themselves apart by taking that fourth-year math that may not be Algebra 2 prerequisite, or taking of science with no non-lab sciences, because that was pretty much the only thing that was offered to them, which more than likely will not be the case in most cases. But just to say hypothetically, if there were to be any student in that position, that students still would be, not students, but colleges would still be utilizing the holistic review process pretty much for a majority of students that do not meet automatic admission requirements by the time they graduate. Which, again, that whole conversation as far as what would constitute automatic admission will definitely be changing over the next 2 to 3 years.
All right, this is Mickey Saloma again from the SMU Lyle School of Engineering. I wanted to thank Kenneth for his time and his expertise. I also wanted to thank Raymond Blakely for setting all of this up and being the technology guru for TACAC. Once you exit out of this, you will be sent out a survey. I encourage you to fill that out so we can better serve the needs of our members and all the high school counselors across the state of Texas. Thank you again for your time, all of you, and be on the lookout for more webinars coming up in the fall. If you are not a TACAC member, as you can see, TACAC membership has tremendous benefits. Please feel free to look at our website, www.tacac.org. Thank you for everything, and you all have a great day.